Yes.
Pyrex and microwave in
I'm
the
out
whip.
here,
You
you
probably
heard?
think I'm baking cake when I'm working the whip. You probably think it's Pyrex.
Whole lot of shots followed after I bust your snot box. Witness a rock bottle. Shoot the fair one, mono the clown. I pull it.
Welcome to Senior Basketball Analyst. Today we're going to be doing a recap of the Dallas Mavericks matchup against the Los Angeles Clippers. This game obviously had a lot of backstory to it because of the DeAndre Jordan free agent attempted DeAndre Jordan signing by the Dallas Mavericks. And just to give you my quick thoughts on that, it's interesting to me that DeAndre Jordan is criticized for going back on his word, but yet Mark Cuban's not criticized at all for going back on his word twice with Tyson Chandler. And you can look up Tyson Chandler's comments on this. And what the story basically amounts to is when Tyson Chandler was with the Dallas Mavericks the first time, when he was Defensive Player of the Year for them, he was told that he would be a Maverick for life and he would finish his career there. And things changed. Mark Cuban, I guess, changed his mind and he ends up leaving. Well, he comes back to the Dallas Mavericks and he was apparently told that again. And then as soon as DeAndre Jordan became available, kind of a younger, better version of Tyson Chandler, then thoughts of keeping Tyson Chandler quickly were tabled and Tyson Chandler ends up a Phoenix Sun. So it's just interesting that it's okay for Mark Cuban to not honor anything before the ink is dry, but DeAndre Jordan is roundly criticized for being much less dishonest than Mark Cuban was with Tyson Chandler. So that's just interesting to me. With that said, it's understandable that people like Chandler Parsons would have a lot of negative feelings about that, not landing DeAndre Jordan. And frankly, this puts the Dallas Mavericks in a lot of disarray. And then all of their attempts to fix these issues, Wesley Matthews Jr. still can't play back-to-backs after suffering a catastrophic Achilles tendon injury last season. Darren Williams is, it's just very difficult to see a scenario where Darren Williams has a healthy season again. It's unfortunate, but this is what often happens to stars, and this is why everybody's not a Hall of Famer. This is the reason. Because if your body just isn't going to hold up, this is what happens. So Darren Williams was not out there either. So that just puts and then of course Chandler Parsons is also still out. So this team is in Dallas really can't be judged on what's going on right now. This is not the team they're going to normally put out there. They had Jeremy Evans in the starting lineup, Zaza Pachulia in the starting lineup, and I guess he's going to start the rest of the year. That is not going to be fruitful. Zaza Pachulia just look. The story tells itself 2 of 8. So he basically told the story of what he's about with that. Raymond Felton looked very good. Now, box score checking is hard. You got to watch the game. But what I will say is this. Raymond Felton, in his 25 minutes, held Chris Paul to 9 points and 5 assists, 3 of 8 shooting over 24 minutes. Now, they didn't need Chris Paul to play great to win. They blew the Mavericks out regardless. But if you're Raymond Felton and you say, hey, I got 4 points and 4 assists, Chris Paul got 9 points, 5 assists, you did your job. You did your job. And Raymond Felton basically looked the way that he looks when he comes into camp in shape. He's a rock-solid defender. He's a decent outside shooter, even though he was missing his outside shots last night. But he's a decent outside shooter, and he's a very good pick-and-roll player. Unfortunately, Dallas Mavericks don't have a good pick-and-roll big for him to play with. So, and then on top of that, this team is just inferior. Basically, everybody looked bad except the young kid Jenkins. Everybody else looked bad for the Mavericks. And again, they were just overmatched. What are you going to do, right? You're overmatched. So DeAndre Jordan was obviously really amped to play this game. He comes out, he gives you a standard DeAndre Jordan in 25 minutes. He had 15 rebounds, 4 blocks. he was killing it. He was killing it. So a couple of and finally Blake Griffin just was out of his mind. And Blake Griffin, the skill set is just so versatile. Blake Griffin is handling the rock on the break. He's making excellent big to big passes to DeAndre Jordan. He's scoring at will. This is the type of matchup that when Blake Griffin sees a team like the Dallas Mavericks, Blake Griffin is just going to go berserk because they don't have the skill or talent to deal with them. They're not quick enough. They're not fast enough. They don't jump high enough. They don't have any of the tools that they would need to stop a guy like Blake Griffin. So his eyes are going to get big and he's going to explode. So a couple of storylines played out. There was the comments Mark Cuban made before the game about the Clippers always just being the Clippers, and it doesn't matter if ownership changes and management changes. That's just one of those things that he says that's just, I don't know why he's saying it. It's just patently false. The Clippers are completely different. When you change the ownership and you change the management and then you change the roster, that's pretty much everything. The only thing that's similar really about the Clippers is they're still playing the Staples Center and they still are called the Los Angeles Clippers. But nothing about this team is similar to the old Clippers disasters of the past where they're drafting Michael Olowokandi. There's nothing similar about this organization. This organization competes every year. For one thing, they're an exciting team. When I see the Clippers on TV, I turn to it and I watch it just for the enjoyment of watching good, exciting basketball. To act like they're somehow, and the real reason it's really silly is Mark Cuban's a winner here. The owners, there's so much revenue sharing by NBA owners. Mark Cuban has a championship in recent history. When you have a team like the Clippers that used to be not worth very much and used to be a team that was a perennial loser and a joke, when they all of a sudden become a popular team, a team that sells for $2 billion, with all the revenue sharing, that helps Mark Cuban. That makes when they go to negotiate their TV deals, that means there's more money on the table. So with the Clippers being great, I really don't know why he's acting like that, because the bottom line is Clippers being great helps him a lot. And again, what he said was just patently false. It just didn't make any sense. It is very likely the Clippers will eventually win a championship. And I mean soon. This is a really, really good team. They have a really nice roster right now. Another storyline that played out. So at one point, DeAndre Jordan went to aggressively post Dirk Nowitzki. And Dirk Nowitzki gets, and this is the negative with all the great shooting and the great. Now I was looking at Dirk Nowitzki's scoring numbers. You talk about, because they showed him and a graphic of Dirk and Paul Pierce. You talk about two spectacular careers, two Hall of Famers, man. When Dirk retires, man, when he retires, just like roll a carpet and direct him to the Hall of Fame, because the man's he scored so many points that it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, the dude has just been an outstanding scorer throughout his career. But he obviously has the weakness defensively. He's not good at holding his ground. He's just not really good at anything on the defensive end. So he was getting targeted a lot defensively by the Los Angeles Clippers. So DeAndre Jordan had an opportunity to seal him and post him, and he went mouse in the house on him. He did kind of a swim move to try to get position and hook Dirk behind him, and he accidentally elbowed him in the head. And it was clearly an accident. But Dirk was hurt, man. He just walked off the court. He didn't even keep playing. He just walked away. And DeAndre, dunked it with authority, and he ran back on defense. Dirk, being mad about it, the next chance he got, he laid a hammer on DeAndre Jordan. He hit him as hard as he could. He wound up and clobbered him. He hit him as hard as he could. And DeAndre, being as strong as he is and the type of guy he is, when he landed after the dunk attempt, and he flexed his muscles and screamed, but he didn't even scream in Dirk's direction. He screamed away from Dirk. The referees review this, and first of all, it was obviously a flagrant one. This was obvious excessive contact. Again, back in the day, back in the 90s, in the Bill Laimbeer days, when you could just, clothesline a dude, That was perfectly fine. Back when, Karl Malone just put an elbow in Isaiah Thomas's face for really no reason. Back in those days, you could do that and you just keep playing. Nowadays, that kind of foolishness gets you ejected sometimes, but it definitely is a flagrant one. There was no question about it. Well, they review it, and hilariously, they hit DeAndre Jordan with a technical foul. They hit Raymond Felton with a technical foul, and Blake Griffin with a technical foul, and Dirk got nothing. It was weird. It was weird. And this is why I hate when people try to describe these things. You hear announcers do this all the time. Play-by-play guys. Mike Breen in particular does this. He'll say, well, they always catch the second guy. First of all, why is that an excuse for the referees, like, allowing somebody to stick an elbow in somebody's ear, and then when the other guy pushes them away, you tech the guy that pushed him? That's not an excuse. That's stupid, first of all. But secondly, that's not what the refs do. The refs don't necessarily catch the second guy, because the retaliation, the second guy was Dirk. They just hand out stuff however they feel like it and whatever they feel is the thing they want to do at the time. That's what they do. In this particular instance, there was no reason to put technical fouls on Blake Griffin and Raymond Felton and DeAndre Jordan, and then Dirk gets nothing. Dirk was the one who started it, because he, again, you see the play, he wound up and hit DeAndre. Like, it looked like he hit him as hard as he could. Again, for me, these kind of plays, that's part of basketball. But the NBA has decided those are flagrants. They don't flagrant Dirk. They don't tech him, nothing. They just punished everybody else. Again, just weird. So that was one of those plays that just, and, the Clippers just went on ahead and blew them out the building. So they just kind of ignored it after that. But those kind of plays, it's just where the officiating is just questionable. When you're watching it, it's clearly biased. And you're like, I don't know what it's biased towards or why, but there's no reason for that. There's no reason to tech everybody around. And then the guy who started it and who the one who initiated all of it with his foul just gets off scot clean. Made no sense. So, but in the end, the Clippers with a full roster, the Dallas Mavericks with an injury-riddled roster, they had no chance, and no one expected them to. They got blown out. Blake Griffin was absolutely absurd. We got to see some nice highlight plays from Jamal Crawford. And overall, it was really it ended up kind of being a nothing game, just because Dallas just didn't have the horses to compete. So finally, Clippers over the Dallas Mavericks at home, 104-88. If you like the videos, hit the thumbs up. Follow us at SBA for a stream. Got all the highlights and all that stuff. I always live tweet the games. So follow us, man. And you know that.
Oh, yes. Sean Carter is nice, but Sean Price is the best. Sean gone. No Sean Dawn. Sean is a dawn I don't